We'll get there.
That's always the balance.
Yeah. Like Thursday was so nice. There was no one till after that.
But hey, it's getting darker there.
That's true. Yes. No, right. We're driving home at like
5:40 last night wasn't dark.
yes.
Yes. Michael had no idea. The park is actually small. But also, I had to explain it to him.
Confuses either. She has guessed that somebody was moving on. And she was like, it's still very early. It's still raining on us. Why are we going now?
Yeah, I don't think we should start.
I told him.
He doesn't know how short it is.
Exactly. Like it's very short. We actually, so I thought, like I could play
Okay, shall we go?
All right. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a somewhat tall white woman in my mid-40s with short, curly, white and brown hair, blue glasses, and one of my very colorful stoles on, standing in UUS's pulpit in the front of our sanctuary. Our sanctuary is filling with people of all ages, and through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect with the outdoors, where it is a lovely, crisp winter morning. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, and the Meskwaki, and the Ocheti-Shakawan nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We're guided by the shared principles, sources, and values of our living religious tradition, through which we covenant to develop diverse, multicultural communities as we work to dismantle racism and other forms of systemic oppression. This morning, we'll be exploring what our values of justice and equity mean in our lives and our faith as we celebrate the beginning of Black History Month. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those who are here in person, there will be greeters in the atrium, and for those of you who are online, there's a link in the YouTube show notes that will let us connect with you. And now, our call to worship, Justice is Our Prayer, comes from the Reverend Rebecca Savage, who writes, "We gather together today with sacred intention to declare that justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. Not here, not quite yet. The seeds have been planted time and again, and we remember all those who went before us that made beloved community in our time a dream that could be realized. Justice is our prayer. May our time together continue to water the budding trees of our diverse interdependence. May our time together give air and nourishment to the parts of our collective spirits that need to grow and thrive in order to embrace equity as a known way of being. Justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. May it be so. Let us worship together." And so, let's join our voices in singing hymn number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table.
Please stand, and as you stand, if you're able, I just want to tell you a little bit about this song. I picked this song because it has strength behind it. It has a lot of strength behind it for people seeking equity. The first time this song was written down was after kind of a folk song catcher saw a young black man on an auction block, and he was singing, "We're going to sit at the welcome table one of these days," and then he was singing to his white audience, "You better be ready for that welcome table one of these days." And the song has changed over time, clearly to be a more upbeat song, but I think it still carries a power in it that I wanted you to be aware of.
Welcome Good morning. Happy Black History Month. I'm a brown human being wearing shades of blue with purple glasses and curly, grayish, reddish, purplish hair. I don't know. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Simo lights our candle, our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and the mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer, to dwell together in peace and to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all the members of the global community, especially those that are most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numb to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity for others, for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the ongoing conflicts and wars around the world and in the Middle East, and for the 3 soldiers that were lost in Syria. And let's be mindful of the dehumanizing legislation that's going on here in Iowa. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps lift up prayers. And now, time for all ages with Nick.
Good morning. All right. Good morning. As Kwanda said, my name is Nick. My pronouns are they, them. I'm the grateful director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. For the last, about a year and a half now, we've been mentioning Article 2. Whether you've been here or in a UU congregation somewhere else, watching online, if you've been in UU spaces over this last year and a half, you must have heard about Article 2, right? Yeah, I got some yeses, some head nods. So that means that everyone who's been around a little while can tell me what those 6 values are, right? I'm going to take the chuckles as a maybe? Some of us look a little more confident than others, like we can name those 6 values that are centered on love. You know, the ones, Russ, can I have that image? The ones here, you can easily name equity, interdependence, justice, generosity, pluralism, and transformation, right? Yeah, of course. For some of us, we might be able to do that really easily. For others of us, remembering those 6 words might be a little difficult. Does anybody have difficulty remembering things sometimes? Oh, lots of hands. Thank you for your honesty. So sometimes, when we have something like this to remember, we need a little trick to have our mind be able to remember it. I bet some of the people here today or watching online can tell me what Roy G. Biv means. Yeah, right away. I see hands up. People know what that means, right? Yeah, that helps us. It's a trick, right? Yeah, it's the rainbow. You want to tell me, don't you? Go ahead. Oh, great job. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and black, right? Oh, we're getting way into light spectrum now. And there are other tricks. Maybe tricks that you used in high school. Maybe tricks that you've used your whole life to help you remember something. Well, I think we should take the letters from these values centered on love. Let's see. If we look at those letters in rainbow order, we've got that'll work, right? No. I've got some vehement shakes of heads out there. Okay, so let's reorganize them. We're getting closer. Pie's a real word, right? What words do we see up there if we take those first letters? I know. What? Jet pig! Jet pig is a friend who is appearing all over in UU churches. Jet pig, cute little pigs, all different shapes and sizes showing up with jet packs. What do you see on this jet pack? A heart, because what are our values centered around? Love in the middle, love at the center. So we have a pig with a jetpack with love at the center. And now it's a little bit easier. So let's see, pig, P, pluralism, I, interdependence, G, generosity. So there's pig. What about jet? Justice, equity, and transformation. And what did Kwanda tell us that we're diving into, or Reverend Diana tell us we're diving into today? Somebody back here said it. Now I don't remember who. For February, our themes are justice and equity. We're looking at both of those together. Inside Jet Pig's little backpack, we have that image, and it talks about Jet Pig and who they are. And then each of our values is on a card. And everyone here can take turns taking Jet Pig home and doing activities that match our month or that just match our values. So we've got equity that we're looking at, and we've got justice that we're looking at this month, right? Right? So I'm going to just hold those for a second. I'm going to set Jet Pig down. Don't go anywhere, friend. So justice and equity are what we're focusing on right now. We work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where we all thrive. And we declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. So if you were to take Jet Pig home and do a fun justice or equity activity with Jet Pig, what activities could we be doing outside of these walls that would meet justice and equity? What do you think? That's great. So we could share with JetPig to show equity, to show justice. We could stand up for someone else who maybe their voice isn't as strong as ours. What's another activity? What's something we could do with JetPig? Yeah. Okay, we could do a mock trial. We could practice using those voices and making sure they're being just. Simo, do you have something that we could do? What could we do? We could eat pizza with JetPig. We could share pizza to make sure that everyone's getting a slice, right? Yeah. We could take JetPig to put our food donations into the bins. We could take JetPig to the library and learn more about justice and equity, and I bet you all can come up with lots of ideas. So hold on, we're done with ideas for now, but save it for later, okay? I'd love to hear it later. This JetPig is gonna be able to go home and come back every week. This JetPig is going to be hiding around the building each week, and you see that little speech bubble. It's going to have some information about our themes each week, okay? So be on the lookout for JetPig and how they're going to help us learn more about living our values. All right. I'm going to ask Jonah to come forward and help me light the lantern. And any of my friends who would like to go to religious education classes today and learn more about UU values with Bluey or Lego, please come forward so we can follow the lantern to class. I'm going to tuck him right there. All right.
Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow.
Good job, you got it.
Take this flame as you go. Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow. Take this flame as you go.
JetPig's going to be my emotional support pig today. And now we're reading Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper was born as a free woman in Baltimore, Maryland in 1825. She was an abolitionist, suffragist, poet, teacher, public speaker, and writer. One of the first African American women at the age of 20, and had a long and prolific one of the first African American women to be published in the United States. She published her first book of poetry at the age of 20 and had a long, prolific career, dying in 1911. She was a member of the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, and this is her poem. Let me make songs for the people, songs for the old and the young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage, nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for the little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged when shadows dim their light, of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no light. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe its sorrows till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of men grow tender. Girdle the world of peace. And there. Sorry, I lost somebody. It's my pleasure to bring up Talia Medlinger to speak to you today about UAY. They are one of the most amazing humans that I've ever had the privilege to meet, and are always constantly out there fighting for our children, our youth, and rights for everyone.
Good morning, everybody. As Kwanda said, my name is Talia Meidlinger, and I'm the Executive Director at United Action for Youth. My pronouns are she, they. We do a lot of things, so I'll do that briefly. But first, I wanted to express gratitude for being invited to come and speak with you all today. I ran into a dear friend in the parking lot on the way in, and we hugged for a long time, and we walked in the doors, and I realized how important place is. Safe place. To walk into a building like this, a sanctuary like this, and know that every single person here shares the values that I live by and that make me feel safe and accepted. It's a little like coming home. My grandparents were lifelong members of the Unitarian Church. My mom grew up going to the Unitarian Church when it was still open on Gilbert Street, and my wife MJ and I were married at the Unitarian Church in 2010. Whew. Okay, what am I going to say? I was going to wing it. I am winging it. This is what happens. So UAY, we do a ton of things, right? Well, just to keep it brief, if you need supporter services for a young person or families in our community, we've got you. Our values are very much aligned with the values of Unitarian Church, and so it's easy to be here and to speak here and to feel safe here. I could come up here and tell you a million stories about how we have positively impacted the lives of young people in our community for over 50 years, which is easy to do. And I'd like to smile and feel joyful, but at this exact moment in our state, that's difficult. Because LGBTQ Iowans and young people are under attack. A little background about me. I grew up in Nebraska, Grand Island, Nebraska. Neither grand nor an island, but alas, still Nebraska. I came of age in the 90s and early 2000s, and from the time I was as old as my youngest, everyone thought I was probably gay, and I said, no way. Why? Because I knew it about myself, and I looked around me, and I didn't see safety or community or representation or a life for myself that I had imagined. And so I pretended I wasn't. And then I came to Iowa City for college in 2003 because I had spent summers here and vacations here, and the diversity and welcoming environment and seeing people different than myself walking around unapologetically themselves felt like a place I wanted to be, and I had a tether to family in case, crisis when you're in college, who knew? In 2004, I met MJ, my wife, and came out. And fell into the most beautiful and accepting, loving community and spaces. Iowa City being open arms, loving and accepting of who I was and who my people were, and people from all walks of life. In 2010, MJ and I got married in the old church downtown, as I said, and we didn't even have to figure out how to pay lawyers lots of money to give us equal rights as a married couple, because Iowa gave us that. And shortly after, so goes the nation, right? Wasn't that the amazing saying? As goes Iowa, so goes the nation. When our children were born, we didn't have to do second parent adoption. We didn't have to have a social worker come in our home and prove that we were safe and well enough for us to adopt our own children. We're just on the birth certificates. Beautiful, welcoming, loving community and state. And that's changed rapidly. Now I'm working with young people, leading an organization in a community that by and large does still support us. But we've told young people, come out, be who you are, love who you are. You're safe here. We love you. And the state of Iowa is sending them the exact opposite message, trying to strip us of as our rights as humans, as Americans, as people who deserve dignity and justice. And then I fall on what it means to have community and safe spaces. Not just for me as an adult, but for young people who are confused and hearing the messages. That just as I felt safe and affirmed and loved walking into this space today, all of us deserve that. Our young people need that now more than ever. Our LGBTQ young people know that they're under attack. And I'm also not blind to know that it's kind of strange for me to be standing here early in Black History Month telling you about how challenging it is to be a queer Iowan right now. And there's intersectionality, right? These identities exist everywhere across the spectrum. And so we have to use our voices and our spaces to lift up and make safe the identities that are under attack right now. And so I'm probably over my 3 minutes, but I just wanted to express gratitude for all of you, for the shared values and commitment to shared spaces, despite how powerless it might feel to call and write our legislatures and tell them this isn't right, this is not human rights, and we don't know what else to do. And this is what we can do. Grassroots, creating spaces, supporting each other, showing up, allowing us to unapologetically and authentically be who we are and be celebrated for it. So just as the values that we talked about with JetPig exist here and are the roots and foundation of everything the Unitarians believe in and do, the parallel to UAY is very, very clear, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all, to share space with you all, and to know that this is yet another safe space for us all to gather and be here. So thank you. I'll be around afterwards having coffee, chit-chatting. Enjoy the rest of the service and be well.
Thank you, Talia. Our next reading comes from the Reverend Egbert Ethelred Brown, who was born in Jamaica in 1875. After a shortened civil service career, he immigrated to the United States in 1910 and attended Meadville Theological School in 1912, and where he was, in 1912, the first African American to be ordained as a Unitarian minister. He went on to found churches in Kingston, Jamaica, and Harlem, New York, dying in 1956. He wrote, "Religion is ethics touched by emotion. If the intellect dominates and there is no hint of emotion, a cold and barren matter-of-factness results. Conversely, if emotion leads unguided by intellect, we are doomed to a wild sea of fanaticism. Yet mind and soul united create one music grander than before." Have you ever been emotionally moved as you sat at your desk preparing a sermon? Have you ever been blinded by tears you dared not shed? I have. And I remember those sermons as my best precisely because I preached them to myself before I preached them to others. Cold services, there will be no such thing when more of our sermons are messages wrought from our deepest experiences of joy and sorrow, messages that first warmed and stirred our own souls. We're experiencing some of that today. And now, as we move into our time of joys and sorrows, I have some sad news. As you may have read in my email last Thursday, this congregation's former minister, Reverend Stephen Protzman, died late Monday due to complications related to surgery for colon cancer. I know this sudden news has come as a shock to all of us, and many of us are still processing it, particularly given that Reverend Stephen's prognosis was hopeful. The death of someone we know and have cared about is always challenging. It's all the more difficult when they are a minister who has touched our lives in so many ways. This news means many different things to different people here. I know this news has been particularly difficult for some of you. Others of you may not have known Reverend Stephen at all. And yet, while Reverend Stephen served as this congregation's minister from 2010 to 2018, he has touched the lives of everyone who is part of UUS now by how deeply he affected this congregation, including being the minister during our move to this building. However you hear this difficult news, as we process it, I invite you to be generous with each other, to know that we all process grief differently, and to share stories of Reverend Stephen with me and with each other. As we do that, we bless Reverend Stephen on his way. It's by sharing stories with each other that we make meaning and weave someone who has died more fully into our lives. We'll be holding a remembrance circle for Reverend Stephen on Tuesday, February 13th at 5 p.m. here. Please come to share a memory, a reading that reminds you of Reverend Stephen, or simply to be in the company of others. And now, please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, help us open our hearts that we may comfort each other in the face of loss. As we remember Reverend Stephen's life, help us honor grief and not ask it to flee too quickly. As we mourn that Reverend Stephen's life has ended, help us weave his life and stories into the continued weaving of life. Spirit of love, help us know in our hearts that what is temporal is also eternal, that we go ever on. Grant us grace to let Reverend Stephen's life, now ended, continue to find new life in the ways we treat one another and live our own lives. Grant us courage to mourn, to believe in the goodness and beauty of life, even in the midst of grief. Spirit of grace, help us share our hearts with ourselves and one another, that we may find peace, comfort, and easing in silence and solitude, in the company of each other, in the beauty of the sky, the water, the earth, and in each other's faces. Amen.
Nurturing our connections and gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. As we enter into a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of all life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone, just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. If you're participating in our service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, and place your stone in the water as we sing together.
Shine on me, oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh, shine on me, oh, shine on me. Let the light lighthouse, lift me up, oh, lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Hold me close, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close.
And now, this meditation that we'll do together is based on a loving kindness meditation, and it includes hand motions. If you're comfortable, I invite you to join me in doing them. You can stay seated with movements as large or as small as feel right for you and your body. The motions are, may I feel love, may I feel peace, may I feel strong, may I be free. We'll go through I, you, and we, and I'll invite some time before each one. Let us begin. I invite you to start by thinking about the love in this room, the love that we receive, the love that always holds us and will never let us go. Let us really feel it for ourselves. We're never for a moment without that love. Let's take a moment to feel it. Let it sink in. And now please join me in speaking the words and doing the hand movements. Join in our thoughts and prayers with so many others. May I feel love. May I feel peace. May I feel strong. May I be free. Now I invite you to take a moment to think about someone who needs love, someone whose heart might be breaking, who might be feeling the pain and sorrow of this world, especially right now. Take a moment to hold them in this love. May you feel love. May you feel peace. May you feel strong. May you be free. And now I invite you to let us feel this love and send it throughout this room, throughout our community. Let's send this love that holds us, that we hold, out into the world beyond us to all people. Let us shower this love on so many communities that are so deserving of love and don't always feel it. Let us feel the love we have for this earth, from the tiniest living things to the greatest trees, for the air, earth, water, and fire that give us life. Let us feel the gratitude and love we have for them and shower it back upon them. And as we do that, let us remember how we and everyone we love are part of that interconnected web of life. May we feel love. May we feel peace. May we feel strong. May we be free. And now let's sing this together a couple times.
May I feel love. May I feel peace. May I feel strong. May I be free. May you feel Sing it one more time. May I feel love. May I feel peace. May I feel strong. May I be
I am on my company's culture and engagement committee, where we oftentimes plan fun stuff, and I always feel like I have the job of bringing up and making sure that we remember sometimes the not so fun stuff. So as you can imagine, this month is particularly special for me, and I'm going to share with you what I wrote for our newsletter. And when I sent it off to corporate, I said, if you're going to alter what I say in any way, please don't use my words, because I don't want to be censored. And what I have to say means something, and all of you need to hear it. So this is titled Harmony and Diversity, a Symphony of African American Contributions to the Arts. February marks the celebration of Black History Month, the time to reflect on the rich tapestry, African American history, and honor the remarkable contributions of individuals who have shaped the cultural landscape. The theme for Black History this year is African American and the Arts, and it invites us to delve into the profound artistic expressions that resonate throughout time. In this poetic exploration, we pay homage to the creative genius of James Dupree, Amanda Gorman, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Misty Copeland, Hank Willis Thomas, H.E.R., Ava DuVernay, and Joel Thompson, who have left an indelible mark on the canvas of African American culture. As many of you have heard me say previously, the arts have long been a significant influence in my life since I was a young child. However, throughout my life, the arts have been an integral part of my life, work, career, and education. So when I learned about the 2024 theme for Black History Month, I was elated. At what had been essentially, which is essentially a yearly observance where we look at the struggles and the achievements of Black and brown people are celebrated. Here I present 8 short vignettes about contemporary African American artists whose work represents a presentation of the effects of systemic and institutionalized racism and discrimination in the past, the present, and in the future, but also how they are influencers and change makers of today. I highly encourage you to check the bibliography of this service and visit the links that I shared that illustrate and showcase these talented artists. James Dupree painted If Not Now, When, America, Past and Present. In the heart of Philadelphia, James Dupree unveils a soul-stirring masterpiece, If Not Now, When, America, Past and Present. Through a symphony of colors and shapes, Dupree confronts the echoes of history, challenging viewers to contemplate the urgency of the present moment. Dupree bridges the gap between past and present with each stroke, inviting us to question and reimagine our shared narrative. His work is a testament to art's power to provoke introspection and inspire change. I'm fortunate enough to have one of my favorite paintings of him hang in my living room. It is the skyline of Philadelphia. Amanda Gorman, The Hill We Climb. Poet Amanda Gorman's eloquence transcends the boundaries of time and circumstance in The Hill We Climb. This is the poem that she read at Biden's inauguration. Her words dance with rhythm and grace, weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience. Gorman's poem captures the zeitgeist and propels us towards a future where unity and justice prevail. Through her poetic prowess, Gorman invites us to climb the hill of progress together, leaving no one behind. Ta-Nehisi Coates, Between the World and Me. Ta-Nehisi Coates, a literary luminary, pens the profound narrative between the world and me. In this intimate letter to his son, Coates explores the complexities of being Black in America. Through his poignant prose, he unpacks the historical and systemic challenges faced by African Americans, offering a lens into the intricacies of human experience. Coates' work serves as both a mirror and a roadmap for a society seeking understanding and empathy. Misty Copeland and her petition for Let's Make a Point. Dancer extraordinaire Misty Copeland gracefully defies conventions in Let's Make a Point with each pirouette. She shatters stereotypes, redefining the narrative of ballet. Copeland's artistry graces the stage and transcends into a movement of inclusivity, inspiring dancers to dream beyond traditional boundaries. I encourage you to Google Copeland's Let's Make a Point and sign the petition. It's about being seen and valued. For those of you that are not aware, ballet gear has traditionally always been what's referred to as ballet pink. Pink tights, pink point shoes. Colors for African Americans do not exist, and Misty Copeland is one of many African American dancers who often has to bake their point shoes, which means they use makeup in order to dye them to match the color of their skin. Apple has an emoji for ballet shoes, and those ballet shoes are only ballet pink. Misty Copeland's petition, Let's Make a Point, is to have Apple recognize that there are other colors that should be represented, as well as to get many other manufacturers of that gear to make colors that match human skin. Hank Willis Thomas, Raise Up. Sculptor Hank Willis Thomas raised his voice through the powerful piece, Rise Up. Through the language of sculpture, Thomas creates societal norms and confronts issues of race, identity, and equality. Raise Up beckons us to acknowledge the voices that have been silenced and to uplift those stories demanded to be heard. This sculpture sits at the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Alabama. If you're not familiar with this museum, it is sometimes referred to as the Lynching Museum. It honors the names that we're aware of, 4,000 of which were lynched during a period of extreme violence against African Americans. This particular sculpture features a long row of Black Africans with their hands raised up in the air, which is often a position they would be forced to stand in when they were being punished or sold at auction. Her, I Can't Breathe. Musician Her strikes a poignant chord with I Can't Breathe. She captures the anguish and resilience of a community grappling with systemic racism through soul-searching melodies and evocative lyrics. Her music becomes a rallying cry for change, echoing the collective pleas for equity and justice. If you're not familiar, I Can't Breathe was written after the death of George Floyd. Ava DuVernay, a trailblazing filmmaker, unveils the harsh realities of the criminal justice system in 13th. Through meticulous storytelling, she unravels the historical roots of racial inequality, sparking a crucial conversation about the need for reform. DuVernay's film serves as a compelling call to action, challenging us to confront the injustices embedded within the very fabric of society. If you've never seen 13th, it's on Netflix, and it is an incredibly moving documentary about the school-to-prison pipeline that exists in our country. Lastly, Joel Thompson, 7 Words of the Unarmed. Composer Joel Thompson creates a hauntingly beautiful composition in 7 Last Words of the Unarmed. Through the language of music, Thompson memorializes the lives lost to police violence, inviting reflection and contemplation. The composition becomes a powerful requiem, urging us to confront the systemic issues perpetuating the injustice cycle. If you haven't seen it, a few years ago it was performed here at Hampshire. There's a great video that I linked to by the Michigan State Choir that actually shows all of the entire work that Thompson wrote around this. But I tell you, 7 Last Words will move you in a way I cannot even express. So as we celebrate Black History for 2024, let us immerse ourselves in the diverse symphony of African American contributions to the arts. Through their words, these visionaries have shaped the narrative of Black history and contributed to the universal language of humanity, leaving an indelible imprint on the canvas of our collective consciousness. And I appreciate what Talia mentioned about talking about what's going on with LGBTQIA+ folks in light of Black history. There's a struggle for all of us, and we're all in this together, and we have to stand together, hold hands, and say with one voice, we will not tolerate this. Thank you.
So a few years ago, shortly before the pandemic started, I had the privilege to attend the Harper Jordan Memorial Symposium, which was developed by Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, or BLUE, as an opportunity to explicitly develop and proclaim a Unitarian Universalist theology that is fully UU and fully based in the lives and experiences of Black UUs. Now, we know that our central theologies, while they have been, in many aspects, overlaid by white supremacy culture, are at their roots the very opposite. They are, in actuality, inherently liberatory. We have the theology of universalism, which tells us that every single person is deeply loved, worthy of love, has dignity, and is inherently saved. That we are held in a love that will not let us go, no matter what. Universalism tells us that there is work we want to do to support each other, But it doesn't hold out the fear of damnation to get us to do that. It asks us to do this work based in love and tells us that every single person is the sibling of everyone else. It's a theology that gives us our central value of liberating love and grounds our communities in equality and the deep ties of love. It helps us know that we are connected and bound to every other person. And in its best lights, Universalism lifts up liberation theology and liberatory practices where we look for and attend to the needs of those who are oppressed and strive to change those systems so that no one is held back or held down through either systems or habits. It helps us practice freedom with. And there's our theology of Unitarianism, which throughout its evolution has encouraged us to know that revelation is not sealed. Unitarianism has encouraged us to reflect deeply and responsibly, to listen to others as they reflect deeply and responsibly, and to practice our faith. Unitarianism gives us our ideas that help us have a multi-religious, multi-source theology, and it tells us that we must engage accountably and responsibly with that. But it doesn't end there, since it also tells us that we need to practice our faith in order to more deeply understand it and responsibly respond to its call. Deeds, not creeds, as it's often been said. And Unitarianism calls us to practice our faith responsibly by working for fair treatment of people throughout society, particularly collaborating with those who are oppressed. We see this in the lives of people like Dorothea Dix, who helped bring more ethical mental health treatment to the United States, Julia Ward Howe, who helped create the Red Cross, Reverend Egbert Ethelred Brown and Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who we heard about earlier, many early abolitionists, and many others. And both of our founding theologies of Universalism and Unitarianism call us to the central power and importance of covenant, relationship, and community. They help us know that we create our religious communities based in covenants, which means that they're inherently relational. As Dr. Taqiyya Nur Amin, who was one of the theologians at the Harper Jordan Memorial Symposium, helping articulate our theology, said, as a non-creedal faith, the evidence of our faith is in how we love and care for each other. The evidence of our faith is in how we love and care for each other. Now, during this month, we'll be looking at that statement, at that question of how we do that from several different angles. But for today, as we explore our values of justice and equity, I want to focus on three key questions. If the evidence of our faith is how we love and care for each other, who is included in that? How do we hold accountability for when we fail and for how we come back into relationship afterwards? And if the evidence of our faith is in how we love and care for each other, what happens when some of us have been told for hundreds of years that they're less than others, that their skin color makes them different or impossible to love in the same way? What happens when the systems of our society have told us that the love of some people must be veiled off from the love of others? What happens to people on both sides of that veil, both the people deemed more worthy and less worthy? In exploring these questions, Dr. Amin was primarily speaking of race, of what happens to our society, including our faith, when we create race and people who are designated black and brown are veiled off from people who are designated white. But as she said, and as we've explored already today, and as many of us can feel through our lived experiences, this also applies to women, to people who are queer, part of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans plus communities, people with disabilities, and many, many others. And so, we must ask what happens to our society, our faith, ourselves, our souls, under these conditions. What is lost? And how do we reclaim wholeness? How do we accept our wholeness and show society that the fullness of who we are, who our loved ones are, is beautiful? What does it mean for our lives and our faith when we do that? How does it change our systems, our faith, when we accept this fullness? And what helps us do this work? As Reverend Kimberly Hampton used to say, love saves us when we can see the beauty among the ashes of change, broken vows, or turmoil. Love saves when we can be known and know each other for the fullness of who we are. This requires bravery, risk, and courage as we change how we are together, as we broaden and deepen the circles of concern and care. This is work, sometimes, often, quite challenging work, but with it comes a tremendous gift of deepening who we are, of deepening our faith. The proposed new Unitarian Universalist Association principles, purposes, and sources, those things that, as Nick said, we keep talking about for the last year and a half, they are part of an outgrowth of the theological work that I've been telling you about. That theological work from the Harper Jordan Memorial Symposium was part of what led to this. The proposed language says, in part, that systems of power, privilege, and oppression have traditionally created barriers for persons and groups with particular identities, ages, abilities, and histories. We pledge to replace such barriers with ever-widening circles of solidarity and mutual respect. We strive to be an association of congregations that truly welcomes all persons and commits to structuring congregational and associational life in ways that empower and enhance everyone's participation. What's more, the proposal gives us this language for what the values of justice and equity mean within Unitarian Universalism and what they call us to do in the world. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. As you hear those values, what do they tell you about how we can show the world the evidence of our faith? What do they help you understand about what we need to learn, how we need to hold each other, what we need to watch, to listen to delve into, who we need to be in the world so that we can be love's hands, so that we can help love save? Today, after this worship service, you'll have a chance to discuss some of what's coming up for you, some of what you're noticing as I ask these questions as you've sat here through this service. The Board of Trustees will be engaging you in discussing some open questions. This discussion, which follows from a similar one they led back in September, is designed to help inform the work that this congregation is doing. Today, the questions that we'll be discussing are: what does it mean to be here in Iowa in the current climate of extremism and division? How are we called to be together and to respond as a community? And how can our building contribute to our response? As we engage in these discussions, discern our directions, and go there together, may we lean back and lean in and listen and learn ever deeper and fuller ways to love and care for each other. May we find freedom with each other as we increasingly make space for the fullness of everyone, particularly those whose love has been veiled off from others. And may we let our faith be known by how we love and care for each other as we widen our circles of solidarity and mutual respect. So may it be. Amen. Blessed be.
How we give and what we do with our lives, our time and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is United Action for Youth, with which Talia Medlinger told us about earlier. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute your pledge towards our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of our commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive this offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. How lucky are we to have them here with us this morning? May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation and community. And now, to close our service today, we will sing "We Shall Overcome." Please rise in body and spirit as you are able.
This is number 169 in your hymnal. if you enjoy hymnals like I do.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome
Please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
As you go out into the world this day and in this coming week, may you go loving. May you go reaching out, listening, learning something new, helping create a welcome table for all, and widening our circles and sharing the evidence of our faith. Go in peace, love, and justice, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen. And blessed be